Hey everyone, Finn here from the NOLA Nerdcast, here with a review for 007 First Light. I will first want to thank the team for the review code that they provided. And with that, we're going to jump on in. So, one thing I think is cool, I'm just going to start off with a little fun fact, is that this is the first piece of James Bond media, if I am correct, that has come out since Queen Elizabeth II died. The first book, Casino Royale, was written like the year after she became queen. And so this is, I believe, the first instance of someone using His Majesty's Secret Service, which I just think is a neat little touch and a fun little fact as we jump into this review. This game is what would happen if Uncharted and Hitman had a baby born of love and respect. It is the best of both worlds to me, as someone that loves the Naughty Dog Uncharted experience and really appreciates IO Interactive's Hitman open world, find how you want to do something and do it mentality. It's not entirely as open and free as Hitman is. There are a lot of moments where you are guided to what you need to do. But the moments that are open and allow you to just kind of explore and do things at your own pace, I think are really cool. There's one segment where you're in a kind of underworld bazaar, and you have to do a bunch of missions and a bunch of different tasks to earn enough money to buy your way into an auction. And that, I think, was a really cool moment because there were so many different ways you could do that. There were so many different options on how to raise the funds, and finding out how to do it and figuring out which one you wanted to do was half the fun. There's lots of other moments where you can go and bluff your way or taunt your way in and out of situations. You can use your gadgets or other items to accomplish what you need to do, whether it's as simple as using your dart phone, which allows you to kind of briefly make a target sick and nauseous so that they'll leave their post or not notice if you're trying to pickpocket somebody. Or there's a laser watch that allows you to just fire a laser at someone. And one thing I really appreciate is that all of the gadgets have an environmental and a combat use. So that laser I mentioned can be used to blow off the lock of a grate, allowing you to enter it, or it can be used to incapacitate an enemy and make them drop their weapon. Or the dart gun can be used, like I said before, but you can use it in combat as well to make them incapacitated. It's just really cool. I really appreciate that. There's the Q-Watch factor, the baseline one that lets you hack and interact with things all throughout the environment, whether it's turning things on to distract somebody, dropping something, opening something up. There's all kinds of ways the Q-Watch interacts with the environment that allows you to get in and around. You can play so much of this game in stealth, taking out enemies one by one, distracting them, sneaking around. You can go in guns blazing. The game clearly doesn't want you to do that, but you can. You can punch your way out of lots of situations. You can gun everybody down. One thing I really appreciate is that, the gunplay is really tight in this game. You have a Bond focus mode that lets you kind of slow down time very briefly to pull off really good shots. The game purposefully doesn't give you a lot of ammo. You're constantly having to discard your weapon and pick up more weapons off the ground from enemies you've taken down. You never really feel like an unstoppable army, which James Bond is never supposed to do. You're a spy, right? But there's something so satisfying about a gun running out of ammo, and you just chuck it at an enemy's head. You hit them in the head, you knock them down, you grab their weapon, you take them out. It's an incredibly satisfying gameplay loop. The fist combat is really cool. Probably one of my favorites. It kind of falters a bit if you're fighting a huge crowd of people because you can't really defend from multiple angles at once. But as long as you parry at the right time, it still works. And I love you're constantly using the environment in the combat, bashing people's heads against things, throwing items at them, punching them, knocking them into walls or tables. You can tackle them and knock them off cliffs. You can even go with them over the cliff and land on them and keep running. You can parry, you can combo, you can gut punch, you can do all kinds of things. You can stagger enemies, move it right into gunplay. There is really cool just options and freedom in the combat. And there's lots of different weapon types that make you feel like you have Uzis, you have machine guns, you have pistols, silenced or not, you have snipers, you have all kinds of different weapons. So the combat in this game, I think, is really strong, which when you are playing a game like this, I feel is pretty important. You don't want the fighting and the combat to feel clunky and cumbersome, and that is not what happens here. So, yeah, the melee combat, it has weight. It feels impactful. He uses the environments. You're flipping enemies into tasers so that the enemies are shooting at you. You can deactivate grenades with your Q watch. The stealth gameplay, again, is also strong. You're using the environment to protect yourself. You're using your gadgets to sneak around and distract people. You're taking people down from behind. The combination of the two is just such a satisfying gameplay loop. And then when you're not in the combat sections and you're actually like walking around trying to gain intel on figuring out where your next objective is, you are eavesdropping on conversations, pickpocketing key cards or intel off of targets. You're trying to figure out where to go, who to talk to, and what to do. And all of it feels pretty intuitive. And when you figure out what to do, it just feels good. You just feel smart. You feel like you've accomplished something. And it's really cool, especially if you can do it without engaging in combat. And you can do it sneakily like a spy. It's awesome. Plot-wise, I find it very interesting that overall, the plot in this game stands toe-to-toe with the best Bond has ever had. But I think it's really cool that the game presents it more in the style of a prestige TV show than a movie. It's very slow to start. It doesn't build up to the big set piece and action moments until much later. But it's those slow moments, the opening chapters, that are crucial to building the stakes and making everything feel earned. The relationship Bond forms with the other characters becomes that much more impactful later on when you have the time for it to breathe rather than just throwing you into action, set piece after set piece. Bond's trainer and semi-antagonist relationship with his superior Greenway, that character arc and that bond that grows and evolves is one of the best moments in the game. And I just think it's really cool, especially because I don't know if the game ever really fully describes, like, you are part of a group that is restarting the 00 program, and it's in modern day. So is the James Bonds we've all known and loved part of the past, or is it all in its own universe? There are so many little Easter eggs and nods to what we remember and know about James Bond from before, even though this Bond is an entirely different person. The one thing that throws me off so much is that this Bond has a scar on his face, which I just feel makes it harder to be a spy if you have such a distinctive physical feature that people can remember. But, you know, what do I know? I like the hints of the classic Bond moments where it's his first experience with a shaken, not stirred martini, his first interactions with Q, Moneypenny, and M. Speaking of Q, the whole lab, wherever you can go around and walk around, and all of Q's lab techs and assistants are working on different gadgets, and you just can overhear snippets of wonderful dialogue and see all these different things being worked on. You can interact with them. It's really delightful. The whole world feels very lived in, and all the different areas feel fleshed out. It's pretty cool. I've spent so much time just wandering around, making sure I didn't miss any flavor text or little moments, even though I didn't have to. but they're so well done and implemented that I wanted to. And I think that's really cool. The game does a really good job as the plot progresses. It unlocks more options for you in terms of gadgets, in terms of things to do and abilities to have, so that you get that kind of gameplay progression, even though it's tied to the plot progression. I really enjoyed a couple of the set pieces. I mean, so many of the set pieces are incredible. I don't want to spoil much about the plot, and that's why I've been purposefully vague, but there is 2 sections early-ish on that I have to mention. And one is that the opening training montage is bar none one of the coolest training sequences in a video game ever. It is so cinematic. It is so well put together. It's so inventive. I was in awe experience. I'd be like, this is the tutorial? Like, what? If this is the tutorial, what else is in store for me in this game? The tutorial, I cannot state enough, is so cool. They did an amazing job making it feel so memorable for just being a tutorial segment. And I just think that's incredible. And then there's another segment that involves a plane in the air, and strong Uncharted vibes to it, but it did its own thing and had its own identity. And the sequence is married to the gameplay so well. It was so cool. And those are just 2 of the earlier examples. The whole second half of the game is a non-stop parade of incredible moments. It's just, IO Interactive did such an incredible job. You can tell that they approached this game with a love of the IP, a love of James Bond, between their hallmark, like the way they handle sandbox levels throughout all of their Hitman expertise. You can just, there's so much to do in all the levels. Everything goes the gameplay loop of discovery, investigation, spy work, to combat, to chase sequences, to cutscenes. It's incredible. The graphics are really strong. The lighting is amazing. The facial animations, the voice work, the casting in this game is phenomenal. The writing is incredible. I really enjoy. I didn't want to stop playing because I wanted to see what happened next. The story kept me going, but the gameplay made me happy that I was experiencing the story. I wasn't experiencing the story in spite of the gameplay, or I wasn't playing the game and skipping the cutscenes, which can happen sometimes. But no, this is the first James Bond game since GoldenEye that I've actually ever really put any amount of time or effort into, but it absolutely puts GoldenEye to shame. I think GoldenEye will stand the test of time as being a very pivotal game in gaming history, especially for the Nintendo 64. But I don't think anyone would argue that 007 First Light is not by far the best game. The pacing of it, the graphics, the gameplay loop, the amount of content in it. There's a whole thing called Tax Sim, which is these challenge missions basically that unlock a bunch of cool cosmetics, and you can level up and progress and do all kinds of things. There's challenges all over the place. Tons of collectibles in this game. There's a ton of content packed into this game, but even if you're just in it for the story, you're still going to walk away impressed. I give this game a solid 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I love the story. They did an amazing job, and I cannot wait. I really hope Amazon learns the right lessons from this game's success and just allows IO Interactive to just do what they want to do on the sequel and not interfere. I have a sinking suspicion that's just not how it's going to go down, but I'm really hopeful for both IO and us as gamers that they do get that freedom to just make the sequel that they want to make. And I really hope we get it. But yeah, that is my review of 007 First Light. Fantastic game. Hope you get a chance to enjoy it. Finn out.